This presentation is on Cornelia Parker. Cornelia Parker was born in 1956 in Cheshire, England, which makes her 63 years old today. She went to Gloucestershire College of Art and Design as well as the University of Wolverhampton. To get her MFA, she went to the Reading University in 1982. Currently today, she is married with one daughter and is living in England. She is also currently an honorary professor at the University of Manchester. Cornelia is a sculptural artist. She is often well known for her large-scale, often site-specific installations, and her engagement with the fragility of existence and the transformation of matter is exemplified. There is an apocalyptic tone to so much of her work, but she also demonstrates a concern with the more insidious effects of global warming and consumerism. The materials that she uses for her work are interesting to say the very least. Cornelia doesn't do things the most conventional way, but she also has such an imagination and has the ability to see so much potential in everything, no matter how odd the material or object might be. As I continue on, I'm going to be showing photos of her work, and I will be describing and explaining each and every one of them as I move along. This first piece is called 30 Pieces of Silver, which is based off of a biblical story where Judas betrays Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. And this piece comprises of thousands of flattened silver objects, including plates, spoons, candlesticks, trophies, cigarette cases, teapots, and trombones, which is quite interesting. Now you're probably wondering, how does one go about flattening pieces of silver willy-nilly? Well, that answer would have to be a steamroller. Setting out a bunch of silver and then flattening it as you drive over it with a steamroller. That was the idea that Cornelia came up with, which is quite genius, I must say. This next piece is called Cold Dark Matter, an exploded view, and it is actually made out of an exploded shed, as the name sort of entails. It is suspended from the ceiling, and a light is placed in the middle of all the wreckage to create shadows that align the walls. Fun fact, there are actual photos that were taken while the shed was being blown up in 1991. And to say the very least, it looks like a shed exploding. This next piece is called Subconscious of a Monument. And while it's definitely not my favorite piece, it does have my favorite backstory of how a piece was created. Cornelia went to Italy on a vacation, and while she was there, people were doing construction work on the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And she went up to one of the workers and asked them if it would be possible for her to get hold of all of the remnants that they threw away as they were renovating and working on the tower. And they ended up agreeing. So she takes all of these pieces of the Leaning Tower of Pisa and just puts it in a room and suspends it in midair. And I just find that so fun and odd and so original. Like, if you think about like a monument of some sort, it would be very reminiscent of the physical thing that you might be honoring. But this is just a room full of rocks suspended in midair. And like, unless you read the artist tag, you're not going to know that this is pieces of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I just love the idea and how odd and weird it is, but it's so unique and fun at the same time. This next piece is called Doubtful Sound. And just like her previous work, 30 Pieces of Silver, these instruments were also crushed by a steamroller. I enjoy the consistency of her using a steamroller to crush her work. You know, it's such an odd thing to do, but she's consistent and she knows how to do it. Other than the fact that yes, all of these instruments are crushed, they are also placed in a circle. And the light is set up so that each and every one of the instruments has a shadow and they line the walls 360. And it's such an interesting setup, and I love the way how all of the instruments are purposely placed in the same direction so that all of the mouthpieces are on the left side. I know that's just a random tiny detail, but as someone who has been musicianed for a good part of their life, it's just those tiny details that really draw you in. This next piece is called War Room, and it takes a more solid approach to conflict. It's a red tint that is made from the perforated negatives from remembrance poppies, and it is lined throughout this whole entire gallery. The vastness of the empty room is supposed to entice contemplation of deceased soldiers. This last piece is called The Edge of England. It is made from chalk fragments that have fallen off of the Beachy Head section of the Dover Cliffs. The Dover Cliffs are very important to England. It was the last view World War II soldiers saw as they left England. And this Beachy Head is also very notorious for suicide jumps, so it is a symbol of the nation as well as a meditation of the human condition.